Good morning, everyone. Paul Rupel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope your Thursday is going well. We seem to have had a technical glitch last hour. For some reason, our stream cut out. Still trying to run down exactly why that was, but we have a whole lot of content stacked up for you that we wanted to bring you today. So let's get you some looks at some of those stories, local and national. First, let's start in Parkland, Florida. This is where students and faculty have gathered to mark 1 year since the deadly shooting at that school. 17 people died, mostly students, and 17 others were hurt after a former student stormed the school and went on a 6-minute-long shooting spree. Today, students are participating in a service project and observing a moment of silence. I could show you some footage from earlier this morning where helicopters were over the scene as students formed a ring around a peace symbol holding flowers. And there they're holding a sign. We'll get you a closer look at that in a moment. The sign says kindness plus love equal the answer. Here's a zoomed out look at the students there. After a little while, they were joined by more classmates and faculty around the ring. You can see some of them starting to form up outside there. Here are some more students coming on out and gathering in that peace symbol. And then here was the fully assembled group for the remembrance ceremony that was held there. They banged the symbol there. I believe it was 17 times for each of the victims. Let's go back live to students at a garden where they're remembering again their 17 classmates and 17 others, 17 people, mostly students, and 17 others who were hurt. Florida's governor issued an executive order to make sure all Florida schools have implemented school safety programs created after the shooting. A group of siblings are traveling to make their voices heard, helping to organize a March for Our Lives movement, also fighting for stricter gun control laws and urging college students to register to vote. Closer to home in New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy signed Alyssa's Law into effect, named after one of the Parkland victims. The law requires New Jersey schools to have silent panic alarms installed to alert law enforcement during emergencies. Alyssa's family previously lived in New Jersey before relocating. As I mentioned, some of those touched by the tragedy are turning it into a call for action. Fox News' correspondent Ray Bogan has the details in this report.
A year after the Parkland shooting, victims and their family members are turning the tragedy into advocacy.
This community used to be such a small town with nothing going on, and now to have it be the epicenter of a movement, I think it's absolutely insane. I don't think anyone can truly explain the political journey we've been thrust onto.
Siblings Ryan and Sam Deach attended Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School last year when a former student went on a shooting spree, while their older brother was in college in California. Following the massacre, the brothers put college on hold, and the trio is now making their voices heard nationwide, helping to organize the March for Our Lives movement and traveling the country fighting for stricter gun control laws and urging college students to register to vote.
We are in the position to actually make a difference. We are in this position, and whether we ask for it or not.
And on Wednesday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis advocated for more school safety, calling for a statewide grand jury investigation into whether or not schools have implemented safety laws enacted following the shooting.
If you're proactive, if you're approaching it almost like an intelligence operation, you have an opportunity to have an intervention before this happens.
To honor the 17 people killed in last year's massacre, Governor DeSantis has scheduled a moment of silence for 3 p.m. and ordered flags fly at half-staff. In Washington, Ray Bogan, Fox News.
Again, you're looking live back at Parkland, Florida, where the victims of the tragedy 1 year ago are being remembered. Our thanks to Ray Bogan for that report. Let's get you to some more national news. It looks like Congress will start voting today on a plan that would prevent a partial government shutdown just a day before the deadline. But the question remains, will the president sign off? Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader has more from Washington this morning.
Well, this is a massive bill, more than 1,000 pages. And while it might prevent a government shutdown, the president may not be too thrilled about some of the details.
I present a privileged report.
And just look at the size of this thing, dumped on Congress just before midnight. The culmination of closed-door meetings and tense negotiations, all coming today before a very skeptical president.
We'll be looking for landmines, because you could have that. You know, it's been known to happen before to people.
The president would get almost $1.4 billion for new barriers along the border. Not nearly what he wants, but it's something. But during a week when the national debt ticked past $22 trillion, one of the bill's architects points to a number of additional spending measures, more funding for the census, the Environmental Protection Agency, and new pay raises for federal workers, all sure to rile the president. But there is also this, a new Fox News poll showing that about 2/3 of registered voters support a framework that includes border barriers, security, and humanitarian aid. And leaders of both parties want a deal.
So, it's time to get this done.
The president must not repeat his mistakes of the recent past. President Trump, sign this bill.
But will the president sign the bill? The White House had indicated they wanted to see a final product before making a decision. They now have the bill. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Thanks to Doug for that report. You saw briefly, again, the memorial scene there at Parkland, Florida, where victims are being remembered. Let's get you to some business news. New flavors in the morning. The new cereals set to hit store shelves soon. Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco has the details in this report. This interview with our Good Day crew this morning. She was on with Mike Jarek and Alex Ali.
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
I asked before we went through to you, do you think she'll have pink or red on today? But you...
And I said red.
Did you forget?
Neither.
I like that.
Are you anti...
It's a conscious decision.
She's a rebel.
Are you anti-Valentine's Day?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I just didn't want to wear red or pink. That was it.
I like that, Tracy.
Go, girl.
She's bold.
And she's going to stand out because everybody else is wearing pink and red.
So to heck with Valentine's Day, let's talk about cereal, breakfast cereal. What are the new flavors now from Post?
They are chicken and waffles and maple bacon donut. These are some new varieties of honey bunches of oats. They will be on store shelves on March 7th, which, by the way, is National Cereal Day. Not sure if you knew that.
No.
But that's when you'll be able to buy these cereals. They are a limited edition.
Thank God.
It's a sweet and savory combination. Definitely a very unique breakfast experience. We've seen a lot of strange cereals lately. There was the Sour Patch Kids cereal. They had, I think, a Peeps candy cereal as well.
Peeps, yeah.
I don't know about this one.
All
I'm not
right.
sure.
If you had to choose, which would you go with, Trace?
I think I'd go with the maple bacon donut.
Yeah, I think I might do the other.
I can't imagine what chicken and waffles cereal would taste like.
That's why
With
you have to
milk
try that
over
one,
it.
I think, because you can't imagine it. We have to try it.
Well, chicken floating in milk.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. But you have buttermilk fried chicken.
Well, that's exactly right.
But I don't know.
That is true.
All right, we are volunteering you, Tracy, to try them both and then get back to us.
Okay.
Do you have
I will let you know.
Where are you going for Valentine's Day? Are you still engaged?
I am still engaged, yes. Not going anywhere for Valentine's Day.
Well, you don't need to. You're like this guy's going, I've already put a ring on her finger. I don't have to do anything.
Or maybe
we don't go out on Valentine's Day.
I know.
Well,
you don't? Oh.
Too many people out.
Oh, the weekend before or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he might be like, honey, with me, Valentine's Day is every day. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Guys say that. They do.
Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow, Trace.
Thanks. See you tomorrow.
Again, that was Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco joining the crew on Good Day Philadelphia this morning. Imagine walking out of your door this morning to find all four wheels of your car gone. Across the city, thieves are stealing tires and rims off cars in what police are calling an epidemic, and they're targeting a specific make and model. Our Sabina Kuriakos was in Northeast Philadelphia this morning with more details.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, they've been doing it since at least September because we reported it on it back then as well. So 60 cars within the last 2 months. And this is not your typical smash and grab thief because, look, take a look. We're in this apartment complex. Look how far back we are from the road. There's only one way in or out. It's not a swift getaway, but it's not stopping these thieves. And take a look. We actually have one of the cars here to show you because the owner, he knows about it because it didn't just happen, but he kind of just left the car here trying to still figure out what he's going to do. So take a look. Here's what police say. They put a jack under the car. They put these soda crates under there as well. And then they go ahead and they take off all four tires and their rims. You guys mentioned these are the Honda Accords, the late models, 2015 to 2018, but they're really targeting those brand new cars. So let's go to video because, again, like we said, the police are reissuing this warning because they had a huge spate of these just within the last few months after already making some arrests since last year. They say that these are such hot commodities, these Honda Accord wheels and rims. It's really, those arrests are not stopping people. They're just coming out of the woodwork to take these vehicles. So obviously we talked to police and we also talked to concerned drivers trying to figure out, hey, if you're driving around a Honda Accord, what are you going to do to protect your car? Here's what they told us.
If it's possible, park in your garage. We're asking you, if you have a garage, use it. That's probably the best deterrent. Second would be to park in your driveway. We don't see many coming up into the driveway of the house. If it's too close to the house, they're afraid you're probably going to hear them doing it. They use cordless power tools to get the lug nuts off. The other thing is if you park in a well-lit area, we're seeing a lot of apartment complexes hit because there's a concentration of vehicles, but they're hitting on the outer skirts of the parking lots where it's dark. It's becoming a real nuisance to the people that live here. You come out in the morning, you're working every day, living paycheck to paycheck, and you come out. You have a nice car, and you come out and you find your car on soda crates.
I don't know what to think, man. I'm automatically, I'm just worried about getting to work. I don't want to wake up in the morning and I can't move my car.
It's just more and more. It's a sad state of affairs for people that are working paycheck to paycheck, just can't afford it, and it's becoming it's a quality of life issue, but it's really hurting people in the pocketbook.
Yeah, really hurting people all across the city. And some of these folks, they're not just getting hit one time, two times. Police say some people have had their wheels stolen up to 3 times. So let's bring it back out here because you heard there. One of the things that folks say they're going to try to do is park under a light like this. Well, look, it didn't work out for this guy because the thieves still came in all the way into this apartment complex parking lot and took his wheels. Guys, back to you.
So warning there for folks who own Hondas. Thank you to Sabina for that. In New Jersey, oops, looks like we have actually rolled the open there. Bring that back to you. There we go. In New Jersey, the 5 Catholic dioceses have released the names of 189 priests the church officials say face credible accusations of sexually abusing minors. The list identified priests and deacons who served in the dioceses of Camden, Trenton, Metuchen, Patterson, and the Archdiocese of Newark. Many priests on the list are deceased, and others have been removed from ministry. New Jersey is one of more than 24 states where dioceses have released the names of clergy members who face allegations. A Pennsylvania grand jury report in August identified more than 300 accused predator priests. All right, was waiting for a story to come online, and here it is. Authorities in Camden County are investigating a deadly crash involving a police officer. Fox 29's Steve Keeley reported live from the scene in Camden all morning long and filed this report for us.
At our 10 a.m. deadline, 12 hours after a Camden County marked police vehicle struck and killed a female pedestrian, there are lots of unanswered questions still. Was the female in the crosswalk here where it happened, at East State Street and Harrison Avenue? And judging by investigators' pink fluorescent spray-painted markings in the street, they may indicate the vehicle was at the crosswalk and impact. We don't know if it was a juvenile or adult female, or if she had an identity on her, or whether investigators have even identified her yet by now and contacted her family. What did you see and hear last night?
I was sleeping. I just heard a big boom, and as you can see, this is my bathroom window, so when I looked out the window, I apologize. It was the car lights. It was all the people. I seen a person on the ground, but I didn't know that, someone passed away. And they drive crazy around here. Bus stops, my son's school bus stop is right there at the light, the street you were just on. They don't stop for the stop sign. They zoom past. It's crazy.
The police car that was stopped, when you looked out your window and could see the scene, did you notice whether the overhead lights were on at the time?
The person was already on the ground. So if the lights were on, then I don't know if it was the people responding or it was the actual cop that did it, because it was dark, and then I heard the noise. Then I looked out and seen all the cars sitting there, etc.
And more unanswered questions. Was the victim wearing dark clothes and nothing reflective, or not holding the light? Is impairment suspected on either her or the driver? Were the police emergency overhead lights activated and siren on? And were there any witnesses? And maybe the top question, was this surveillance camera right above where the police vehicle came to a stop working and recording? The rod that props the hood open and the Ford Police Model Interceptor emblem from the grill were close by to the painted markings where the Ford tires ended up and where the leaking fluids from the police vehicle's front-end damage were spilled onto the roadway. All of it, Bill Hargrove says, was proof of an accident waiting to happen that he long warned authorities about here.
I have complained to Camden over and over about crosswalks. This crosswalk that is here now should never be here, because everybody who comes up Harrison Avenue, they're looking to the right so they can make that turn, and they never, when they turn, there's always somebody in the crosswalk. It's a dangerous corner. We absolutely need a light at this corner. Maybe this will open the eyes of our township officials to put a light at this corner. They have run into these poles over and over. Probably 4 or 5 times run into the poles and ran through the fence.
Soon authorities should let the public know who was killed and who, if anyone, for any reason, was at fault, or if this was just an awful accident. In Camden, Steve Keeley, Fox 29 News.
Thank you to Steve for that report. I'm seeing that Bill Clinton is delivering one of the eulogies right now for Representative John Dingell, who passed away. Let's dip into that and listen in for a few moments.
Our lives in public service, that we were in the same room with John Dingell and got the last word. Don't you dare jump up and say that. This service has been very moving to me. Many of us had the chance to talk to John, not We probably talked, I don't know, just a little over 24 hours before he passed away. And I was so grateful that his mind was clear and his spirit was strong and his determination was, he said, you know, I'm not done yet. And he didn't know if he was going to live an hour or a week or whatever. The idea was you ride the horse till the race is over. And all of us, particularly those of us who are not young, I hope we will remember that. He was a remarkable man, as all of you have said. A patriot in some cases without peer in the history of America. He spent more time in the Congress trying to fulfill the founders' admonition to form a more perfect union than anyone else. But he didn't just spend time there. One of the things that I was always amazed is he managed to find a way to have a good time. Hillary and I, and like many of you, we can remember almost every time we'd ever been with him and every casual conversation we had. I treasure those things. I've been in a duck blind with him when it was so cold, the ducks wouldn't come out. And I told him he should look on the bright side. It saved us from a lot of criticism from the animal rights people. I have been in his district campaigning for him, and one of the rare examples when it looked like he might get less than 100% of the vote. I sat in the rotunda in the Capitol when he was honored by breaking the longest service record. Many of you have commented on how being his friend entitled getting your hide ripped off from time to time. You have to understand that's in part the mark of an honest friendship. If you think your friend is wrong, you tell him. And both of us have experienced this exquisite example of affection. I liked it. He never snuck around behind your back. He didn't say one thing to your face and then call somebody to get a little press to do something else. John Dingell was a stand-up guy. He got up, he suited up, he played the game straight ahead. He was an old-fashioned man who did things in an old-fashioned way that we should adapt for new times. He fought like crazy, but he always asked himself at the end, okay, I'm not in the majority, or I am in the majority. Now what are we going to do? The thing I loved most about him was that he was a world-class doer. He understood that the trust he was given as a member of Congress representing his people was first and foremost a job. And the job required him to show up and do something for which he could give an accounting to the people who hired him and say, we did this, this, and this. We tried this, this, and this. I failed, so we did this because this was still possible. He loved politics, but he also understood that not everyone would agree with him, and if you believed in the Constitution of the United States, that was a good thing. It would give us a better, stronger country as long as we continue to see each other first as people. People first. and then figure out what we could do. I don't know if all of you have read his memoirs, but it's funny. He was so busy doing things, he didn't have time to write his memoirs till he was over 90. They were just published last December, and I was looking through it again last night, and I thought, you know, he was afraid he was running out of time, so he sort of short-circuited the last 25 years of his life. He had so much to talk about. But there's one passage that sums up the book in a nutshell. And out of deference to our presence in this historic holy place, and with all the clergy here, I think I will have to paraphrase some of the more colorful language. He wrote, "I served in the House for 59 years and 21 days. It remains the record for continuous service in the United States Congress, something that seems to impress a lot of people. I am not one of them. Quite frankly, I don't care about records. Any fool can sit in the chair and take up space. It is what... It is what you do with your time that matters. I look out over this crowd and I see so many of you that I had the honor to serve with. Members of both parties, I can tell you things we did together. John Dingell was just about the best doer in the history of American public life. Since 1955, that's a long time ago, until he left, he had a hand in just about every important contribution to following that followed our founders' admonition to form a more perfect union. And he was good about doing this when he was in the minority as well as when he was in the majority. I remember I pulled out the notes to make sure my memory was right. And it was in 1996, the Telecommunications Act was the first bill ever signed in the Library of Congress, because we thought we were writing a positive communications manifesto for the next several years. It was a highly complicated bill. The communications law had not been overhauled in 60 years. And John and many of our Democrats wanted to make sure that there was ample room for competition to keep the rates as low as possible and the service as wide as possible. And he worked with Chairman Bliley, and he spoke that day in the Library of Congress as the minority leader of that committee, because he was interested in getting something done. His long loyalty to health care is legendary, but in the end, what counts even more than his honoring his father was that he was there for Medicare and Medicaid. He was there for the Children's Health Insurance Program. He was there for the Affordable Care Act. And one of the things that I especially appreciated was his saying that his favorite job in public service was his summer job between his junior and senior year in college as a park ranger in Rocky Mountain National Park. For 59 years, he worked to be sure future generations could enjoy America's national treasure. As far as I know, he supported the efforts of every administration, Democrat and Republican, legislative or executive, to preserve that land. And then he became obsessed with public health. He supported President Nixon in the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. the Occupational Health and Safety Agency. He supported the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Endangered Species Act. I want to just say a couple of things about his record on civil rights. It is true that he endangered his seat in Congress by voting for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. His Polish immigrant Catholic heritage, his study of social justice with the Jesuits up the street, did not permit him to pull up the ladder of opportunity just because he had climbed it. And he was doing this a long time before the Civil Rights Bill was voted for. In his first term in Congress in 1956, he sponsored an anti-lynching bill, a fair housing bill, and a bill to eliminate the poll tax. As someone who grew up in a state where the poll tax was used to control the black vote, it meant a lot to me. But he became a particular hero of mine when I was only about 13 years old. In 1959, young Congressman Dingell stood before the fearsome speaker, Sam Rayburn, and objected to what is normally routine, the seating of all the new members at the same time. Because one of them was a congressman from my native state, Arkansas, who had defeated the sitting member for supporting the integration of Little Rock Central High School. And he beat him on a write-in campaign in which people were allowed to put printed stickers on the ballot even though the law didn't provide for it. There were other interesting irregularities. But the idea, it sounds simple, a little procedural bill, but I think it's very important, especially to the younger people here who may think of John Dingell as yesterday's man. He was not afraid as a young man to risk the ire of people who could have wrecked his effectiveness to make the point that no one should gain automatic admission to the House if elected under a system that was not genuinely democratic. Finally, in 1961, I told Congressman Lewis that John Dingell accepted an invitation to go to the Union Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, to speak to the NAACP. It's a pretty good gig for a Polish kid from Michigan. And the lady who was doing the dinner was trying to do a favor for a young lawyer she thought needed some help because he was making only $35 a week at the time, which wasn't much money even in 1961. So she let this young lawyer introduce John Dingell. And Vernon Jordan did a very good job of it. And he called to tell me that to this very day, he was just another one of John's kids, that his career really took off after he got to introduce John Dingell. Until his last day on earth, John Dingell was doing. When his body wouldn't work anymore and his mind wouldn't stop, he turned to America's national obsession, tweeting, and became a Zen master. You should read, if you haven't, the collection of John's greatest Twitter hits. I mean, it's Zen mastery. Few words, much wisdom. And if you don't pay attention, you'll miss it. He honored the people who sent him to Congress for 59 years by keeping the sacred pact of doing and doing and doing. We give thanks for his long, good life. But the real thing we have to do is to honor it now as he charged us in his last letter. He often quoted what I used to joke was his good friend, Benjamin Franklin, who said after the Constitutional Convention, when asked what we had been left, he said, "A republic if you can keep it." So now he has done all he could to help us keep it. And the greatest honor we could ever give him is to spend whatever years we have left at the wheel to the last day. Goodbye, John. Finally, you are in that place of more perfect union where all God's children know how it feels to be free. Thank you.
You've been watching former President Bill Clinton deliver a eulogy at the funeral for former U.S. Representative John Dingell, Democrat of Michigan, who was the longest serving U.S. congressperson in the country's history. Saw him hug his wife Hillary Clinton there, and services continuing. We're going to take you to some other news now. Since we have this break here, let's start with some weather, actually. Here's a live look at Ultimate Doppler radar. Of course, today's Valentine's Day. Don't think I've mentioned that yet. But if you have romantic plans today, the National Weather Service in Mount Holly has been saying you don't have to worry about the weather putting a damper on things. High pressure is showing us some love with a dry and unseasonably warm embrace. Enjoy. So, unseasonably warm, yes. It is just 42 degrees, so not super thrilling, but it is nice to get away from the freezing point, if at least by 10 degrees right now and higher potentially later. Here comes a look at your current temperatures around the region. There you see 42 for Philadelphia, 30s to the north and west, 29 up in Mount Pocono, but mid-40s for the most part to the south and east. Your northeast U.S. temperatures, 42 in Philadelphia. As we mentioned, 50 in Ocean City, Maryland. Some 30s back to the west in Pittsburgh and Williamsport. 27 up in Toronto. But a lot of 40s, almost 50 on the eastern seaboard there. Up into Boston, you've got 37, cooler temperatures farther northeast. Your U.S. temperatures. The heartland there in southeast, showing some green, a little bit warmer, 50s, 60s, 73 down in Miami, 65 in Tampa, 60s along the Gulf Coast, 55 in San Francisco, 40 in Portland. Not too far away in Billings, it's just 4 and 8 in Rapid City, so some of that cold air holding strong on the northern plains. Here where we are, it feels like 36 degrees right now outside with our wind chill. And temperature's pretty consistent with yesterday's at this time, although we were dealing with, I think it was raining yesterday at this time. Wind speeds, you got 12 miles per hour in Philadelphia right now, teens in most places, or close to. Got some gusts to speak of too, 24 in Toms River, 26 in Atlantic City, and 24 in Millville. 17 in Pottstown and Trenton, 21 in Reading. In terms of visibility, it's a nice clear day out there. Not much to speak of in terms of satellite cover right now. Let's take a look at our futurecast. You see, we've got some chances of rain coming through tomorrow. This is going really fast. There's a snow chance to our south on Saturday morning. Looks like we're dry for a few days after that. Here's another look at the futurecast. There's your rain chances Friday. That's snow chance to our south Saturday. These are differing models here, it looks like. See if we can get some clarity from our 7-day forecast. Your Fox Futurecast showing that line of rain to our west Friday morning. And here's our 7-day forecast. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Lovely at 47 today. Should get to a high. We're calling it a 10. It is traditionally cold for this time of year, but it is a nice day all around. Lots of sun shining. Not too windy. Friday, clouds with a shower, 57. And we're calling that one a 7. And then Saturday looks like a 5 with snow showers. High of 40, but low of 33. Sunday, snow at night. Going to dip into to 24 overnight and then respond back to 39 for a high. Monday, clouds to sun, 42 degrees. That's your President's Day. So we're gearing up for the long weekend here. Tuesday, partly sunny, 39. And Wednesday, snow to rain, 39 for a high, 30 for an overnight low. So stay with us on the Fox 29 News at 5, 6, 10, and 11 for the latest forecast. And anytime, download our Fox 29 Weather Authority app. I'm the digital media manager here at the station, so I can tell you that we are expecting an update to the app in the near future. Talked a little bit about this before the holidays, and it's been a little bit delayed since then, but should be coming soon. An updated version of your Fox 29 Weather Authority app, where you can get location-based alerts, latest forecast, video forecasts from our meteorologists, and more. All right, let's get you to some of the local stories that we have dialed up here. In Delaware County, the 17-year-old accused of trying to kill another teenager in a drug deal gone wrong is expected back in court a week from today. James McCauley remains behind bars this morning on $1 million bail. Investigators say a shooting over a single ounce of marijuana in Haverford Tuesday night landed an 18-year-old in critical condition. The two were in a car at Glengarry Drive and Rose Tree Lane when police say McCauley shot the other teen in the face. The search continues for the man who fired shots inside a SEPTA subway station. It happened yesterday morning at the Lombard South station at South and Broad Streets. Police say a woman was near the man when he fired his gun, but she jumped on the subway right afterward. Police say they have images of the suspect, but they have not yet released them. We'll keep an eye out. If they do come along, we'll bring them to you while we're live. Hey, Sam. A man finds himself in the middle of a deadly fight after a stranger asks for a ride, jumps into his car, and starts throwing punches. It happened yesterday morning on the 8100 block of Ridge Avenue in Roxborough. An eyewitness tells us the homeowner was standing in his driveway getting ready for work when a stranger approached him. The stranger asked for a ride, but when the homeowner told him no, the stranger tried to jump in the car. That's when the two men started fighting. Then the homeowner's girlfriend came out.
So the assailant punched a woman as well 3 times?
Yeah, he punched my neighbor too 3 times in the face. He fell back, and I guess he hit his head, and that was the end of him.
Police arrived to find the man unconscious on the ground. They performed CPR and took him to Roxborough Hospital where he died. Police are still investigating this incident. In Bucks County, Ben Salem's Patrol Division is beginning to use body cams. Only a select number of patrol officers will wear the body cam, with plans to equip the entire Patrol Division over the next few months. The cameras will record any interaction officers have with citizens. Police say these cameras provide 2 crucial features.
It'll give the officers the ability to watch their encounters to make them safer in the future if they make a mistake and learn from it. And it'll also capture vital information for us and the public. If someone assaults a police officer and flees on foot or gets in a car and escapes, we'll now have footage of them committing the assault and also their picture, and we hopefully can help identify them so it lead to their arrest.
The department says at the end of every shift, officers will put the body cams into a docking station that will log all the video. Your morning commute could be getting more expensive. Tolls on the Delaware Memorial Bridge are going up. Delaware Governor John Carney and his New Jersey counterpart, Governor Phil Murphy, made the announcement yesterday. The price hike will begin in May. It'll cost $5 for cars and trucks, up from $4. Those who get commuter discounts will see a slight increase as well. The extra money is going towards safety and infrastructure projects. All right, we've got one story for you that's a warning, and then we'll have two happy stories to share with you. This one is an old internet challenge that has resurfaced, daring kids to pretend to go missing for 2 days. Why police say the 48-hour challenge is no joke. This morning on Good Day Philadelphia, a local police officer and a school crisis counselor joined Good Day Philadelphia to talk more about this social media challenge, and here's their conversation with our Good Day Morning team.
All right, here we go again. We gotta stop this. Another social media challenge, has parents and police worried. It's causing children, well, to pretend like they're disappearing with hopes of ending up on a newscast like this.
It's called the 48-hour challenge, and teens are daring each other on Facebook to disappear for up to 2 days. The goal is to have a missing persons post with their name and picture go viral. Naturally, this would be alarming to any parent or family member or loved one, but police are taking things a step further by warning families across our area that tricking the cops into a fake search, it can cost you big time.
If this does happen here, we will charge people with filing a false police report, and I will seek to for restitution of the resources we spent.
I will hope they might have some type of electronic devices where you can track them, but I would be very concerned as a parent if my kid decided to do that.
So local police agencies, they're asking parents to talk with kids and to monitor their social media activity to see if they're planning to do something like this, because they do not like it.
Officer Roger Rogers from the Cinnaminson Township Police Department is here with us. Good to see you again.
Morning.
And Anthony Foltz over there, crisis counselor at the Cinnaminson Township High School. Okay.
Can we first start with, because this is not something new, we've seen this happen a couple years ago.
Oh, a few years ago, yeah.
So why do you think that it's starting up again, that kids are trying to disappear just to go viral?
Well, I don't believe it's just they're just starting to disappear or go viral. I think it's more about the concerning that students and kids and adolescents, they typically are focused on appeasing their peers and trying to do some shock value to get more their friends and more inclusive into their relationships.
Which causes them to go viral, and then you get likes. People think, oh, it's so cool. I mean, it's a factor.
Right, and it is a very factor, and it's because peers at this point in their lives are more focused on what their peers think other than what their parents think.
It's to show off for their friends. I don't think they're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to scare my parents to death, which is what's happening.
Right.
But it's to show off. So why is it dangerous, though? Like this officer says, I'll charge him. What would the charge be?
I think in this case, I would see false reports.
False reporting to the police.
To the
That's a crime.
Yeah, I would probably steer more towards like a station house adjustment. I wouldn't want to levy that burden on the parent for something their child has done. I think a station house adjustment allows us to circumvent the criminal justice system.
Why is it dangerous?
You're wasting police resources and time. Right? We're taking crucial manpower from something else that could be more urgent and putting it towards, a false report. And it's very labor intensive. A lot of man hours are involved with locating a missing child.
I mean, it's so true. You're taking resources away for things that the police officers should be concentrating on.
Well, that is true, but I don't think the teens and the people that are, the kids that are doing that,
They're not thinking that.
Well, they're not thinking that. I mean, they have the ability to, do risk management and think about certain risks. However, that's not their real focus. Their focus is, their peer groups and their peers and cultivating of relationships. It's funny enough, I spoke to my 11-year-old son last night about it, and I simply asked him, are you familiar with this challenge? And although he wasn't, he was familiar with the other challenges that he sees on YouTube. I asked him, why would you do that? And he said, because it's cool in front of your friends.
It's cool. Yeah, you're
and
showing
it gets
off.
attention.
Yeah. But then, don't you have to investigate it? Because
Definitely.
if somebody says somebody's missing, you got to look into it.
Yeah, we can't take that as a joke. Like every missing person's report has to be thoroughly investigated.
But then you think about what happens if someone actually is missing, and then some people might think, oh, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Oh, nothing's wrong. It's just someone
Don't
doing
bother
this
to
challenge.
look.
Yeah.
Exactly. Quite honestly, I would challenge anyone who thinks about doing this to go online and look at the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, and they'll see the faces of kids who actually perish, kids who actually are missing, and the grief and anxiety and anguish these families are going through.
Why would you stop it, though? I mean, just talking to your kid like you did with yours?
Well, I think communication is really key.
Yeah,
I think parents should be speaking with their children more and more in a non-judgmental way, understanding that a lot of times when they make these poor decisions, as parents, we believe, it's not that they won't do the right thing, and sometimes they can't do the right thing. Sometimes that their ability to make good decisions are impaired only because of their development. This is what children typically do. So speaking with your parents and speaking with your children, and more importantly, knowing who they're hanging out with, who are their friends, and their parents and their information.
You took the right approach. Just bring it up. And the reason we bring it up, because it's out there, and want to let you know, because parents know that it is going around. So ask your kids about it. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, the conversation there from Good Day Philadelphia this morning about the 48-hour challenge. I promised you two stories, a little bit more uplifting than that one. Let's get you to those right now. Pausing really quick for a in-studio announcement there. The Villanova Wildcats had a big win last night, but the game was extra special for one fan cheering courtside. Here's that video. Bob Henry is in hospice, but you'd never know it. The 87-year-old is known as Mr. Villanova. He worked at the school for more than 20 years, first as a security guard and then for the strength and conditioning coach. And every day he went to work, he was happy. So to create this special memory, Hospice Campuses, I think that's how you say it, contacted the school and even got his family to come join him. And it's clear the love for the school runs deep.
Growing up, he took me to so many of these games, meeting the players when he was in the weight room, being able to go to one last game with him, it definitely means the world.
To see that character in him still and, see that light in his eyes, to be right under the basket, so it's a special thing.
Are you having a lot of fun?
Yes.
Bob also received a signed basketball and a championship hat. Well done, Villanova. Way to take care of a former employee there and big fan of the school. And a boy who's been battling leukemia in Havertown for years is getting the trip of a lifetime thanks to Make-A-Wish. Students at Cardinal John Foley Regional Catholic School came together yesterday to see 8-year-old Connell Harvey's wish come true. He'll be traveling to Rio to see the famous Christ the Redeemer statue. Connell lost both legs and the fingers on his right hand after being diagnosed with leukemia 4 years ago. But now, 6 months into remission, Connell says he's ready for new adventures.
My sister kept forcing me to say Hawaii. I'm like, no.
None of us anticipated this, and we couldn't imagine what he was going to choose.
It was very cool, so I really wanted to. I'm very excited.
Connell and his family need to hurry up and pack. They leave on their week-long Rio adventure this weekend. Make-A-Wish doing awesome work as usual, helping folks take some grand adventures. Let's get you one more look at the remembrance ceremony that's occurring today in Parkland, Florida. It looks like students have been doing some of their service work there. They were planning to do service today in honor and to remember the 17 victims and 17 others who were hurt in that shooting 1 year ago today. Seen the camera shot for a while and saw some students tending to the garden. Also see lots of candles. Again, the school pausing to remember what happened there 1 year ago today, when a former student went on a rampage in the school. We showed you earlier, and in the report from Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan, that some of the students have turned to advocacy on issues like guns and school safety in the aftermath of the shooting, and they continue to be very active in those pursuits, traveling to Washington, D.C. and around the country. The incident has also prompted laws in places like New Jersey. We talked about that earlier. All right, let's get you one last look at Ultimate Doppler radar. See a little patch of precipitation moving into central Pennsylvania right now. Take one more look at the 7-day forecast. Here's again the U.S. Futurecast map, where you'll see some of that rain start to pop up there and move in, and then more on Friday. See it's our west on Friday morning. So look at your complete 7-day forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. Lovely today, 47 for a high. Clouds and a shower, 57 on Friday. Snow showers, 40 degrees on Saturday. Snow at night, Sunday, 39 for a high, 24 for an overnight low. It looks like the coldest point of the 7-day here. Monday, clouds to sun, 42 for a high for your President's Day. Partly sunny, 39 on Tuesday. And Wednesday, snow to rain. So I want to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you if you came back to watch after our technical difficulties. Our stream cut out for some reason during the earlier hour while we were bringing you the Phillies making the announcement that the formal announcement and conversation with ace pitcher Aaron Nola about his 4-year, $45 million extension. I believe there's also a 5th-year option on that. We brought you Aaron Nola, General Manager Matt Klentak, and Coach Gabe Kapler talking during that news conference. So that's a separate video on our YouTube channel there if you want to catch some of that. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see you back here on Friday. News Now airs at 10 a.m. each weekday after Good Day Philadelphia. Thanks again for watching.